Hello again. This is going to be a very brief account of the history of sub-Saharan Africa. It is as accurate as I am able to make it, and I shall be very happy if anybody at all can point out any errors or omissions. About 50 or 60,000 years ago, modern humans left Africa where they had evolved. That's Homo sapiens, our own species. Some of them left Africa and moved into the Middle East. From there, they spread into Europe and Asia. There were other archaic human species living in Europe and Asia, the Neanderthals, Denisovans, and of course Homo erectus. The modern humans who left Africa at that time used stone tools and were not very advanced, but this changed dramatically after they had been in Europe and Asia for some years. They began doing things like painting realistic pictures of animals and also carving images of imaginary beings like a man with a lion's head. The people who stayed in Africa didn't do these things. Their art, if it can be called art, was limited to a few scratches on rocks. There's one from southern Africa, about 50,000 years old, in which a series of lines, a bit like a hashtag sign, have been carved. The people who moved into Europe and Asia began doing all sorts of other exciting things, such as making flutes and drums, using lamps made from animal fat and so on. This was all long time ago in the Paleolithic age, the Old Stone Age. Again, those who remained in Africa didn't do this. There were no lamps in sub-Saharan Africa until somebody else invented them and took them there. People in Europe and the Middle East then began using wheels and making tools and weapons from copper. This didn't happen south of the Sahara Desert. In China and the Middle East, as well as Central America, writing was invented. It didn't occur to the people of sub-Saharan Africa to invent writing. So far, I do not think I've said anything at all which can be contradicted or anything which is the slightest bit controversial. There is no evidence at all for wheels, writing, lamps or the smelting of copper in that part of Africa which is south of the Sahara Desert until these things were introduced there by Europeans or Asians. I'm very happy, as I say, to be proved wrong about this, and I invite those commenting to point out any such evidence, if they have it. We've now reached a point roughly 3,000 years ago with sophisticated cultures in China and the Eastern Mediterranean. We know about these people because they left written records. For the next 2,000 years, taking us up to the time roughly of the Battle of Hastings in 1066, an awful lot was happening in Europe and Asia. Gunpowder was invented, so was paper. The compass began to be used. Pieces of machinery were made from iron and bronze. Greek writers and philosophers like Socrates and Plato were at work, and so were Roman writers. Huge buildings were erected, places like the Pantheon and Colosseum in Rome and the Parthenon in Athens. The pyramids were built. In sub-Saharan Africa, life had changed little over the last 20 or 30,000 years. Most people continued to use stone tools, although some working in iron was being undertaken. There were no stone buildings, no writing, no inventions, no mathematics. Nothing had changed at all there. So far, we've traced the history of Africa from the first modern humans to the year 1000 AD and seen that while in Europe the Stone Age had given way to various civilizations whose remains can still be seen, books and plays that we can now read, the works of thinkers like Confucius, Buddha, Socrates, Jesus, Tacitus and many others, there was nothing at all like this in sub-Saharan Africa. Things only began to change when people entered there from other parts of the world. The Arabs from the Middle East, together with the Berbers, triggered the establishment of mosques and madrasas in Songhai and Mali. Buildings were still of mud, though. It was not until the arrival of Europeans from the 15th and 16th century onward that buildings of more than one story began to be constructed. This, then, is the history of sub-Saharan Africa as accurately as we know it today. I'm honestly at a loss to know how to put things any differently. No inventions at all have emerged from Africa for 20,000 years or so. Not since the bone harpoon for fishing was devised there. That was the last authentic innovation from sub-Saharan Africa. There was nothing like the telephone, radio, electricity, space rockets, nuclear reactors, antibiotics, or any of the other wonders of the modern world. These were produced exclusively by people of European origin. One suggestion which is often made is that colonialism is responsible for this lack of progress, but this is an absurd idea. For 50,000 years after modern humans came out of Africa and spread across the world, enormous strides were made by those in Europe and Asia. Nobody went to Africa and interfered for those 50,000 years while things like writing were being invented in other parts of the world. It's only in the last 500 years or so, perhaps 1% of the time since modern humans emerged from Africa, that some Asians and Europeans have gone back to Africa to see what has been going on. Not much, they found. Just why this was the case is another question entirely, and I think we'll have to leave that for a separate video.